So June 2023, my alarm was set for 4:45 that day. I woke up at 4:30. I'm walking to the bathroom, and simultaneously as I'm standing there, I remember my brain thinking, I can't feel my legs. But as soon as my brain, in the matter of a split second, that I could think that something was off, I collapse straight back. And mentally, I'm awake, there's no pain, but I can't feel my legs. I can't feel waist down. The feeling's gone. I can't speak. I'm sweating profusely, my body almost like you have the chills. My face is kind of droopy on one side. And fortunately, Ashley had heard me fall. She knew something was wrong. She's calling my name. She calls 911. Fire department gets there in just a couple minutes. They're the first ones in. The ambulance pulls into the stroke center, and there's probably 20 different doctors and nurses all ready for me to come on in. They would lift up my leg, you know, heavy leg. So they're lifting up my leg, they let go, and it just collapsed. Like, lift it up, just collapsed, because I had no feeling. And they're like, we'll go your toe. The neurologist comes in and he says, Brad, you may never walk again. I remember the stress of just that conversation being, okay, I'm 42, I may not walk, my kids are important, I have work, I have all these things. But I remember Dave Clark, my business partner, who believed in me and saw something in me. He had his cancer and he battled for 10 years. And I never saw him complain, ever. So I'm sitting here remembering that specifically, saying, I'm gonna beat a stroke faster than anyone's beat a stroke. Not only am I gonna get through this stroke, but I'm gonna get my leg back, I'm going to Hawaii next week, and I'm going golfing, which they said, there's no way. And I just remember not being scared. As much as he said, you may never walk, I'm like, I'm not gonna allow that thought to just take any space in my mind. And I'm just gonna flip that switch and go back to that killer instinct. I learned that I was doing too much, and I've learned over the last 2 years how I've been able to delegate some of those tasks that were consuming a lot of my time and really utilizing the core people I have around me, especially at AFT. As we're walking, you could point out like anything that kind of you need from us.
He had a lot of pressure from all different directions, and I don't know how he deals with, because he's always on.
He is not good at sitting still, and he never has been.
The guy wakes up at 4:30 in the morning, goes to the gym, and then he goes to bed at, he's got to be after 10:30, 11:30 at night.
I joke with him because I don't know if he sleeps at night.
If you know Brad, you see him in action, like he is full throttle all the time, unless somehow he falls asleep for 4 hours. But he's nonstop.
That shocked us all in the company. It just, as far as Brad is like the healthiest guy I know. He's so fit.
It was shocking because you were like, is he gonna be okay? And for a quick minute we hadn't heard. And then Brad sent a video message.
Okay, AFT All-Stars, just a quick update. All good here. See, Greg brought the iPads. I got the US Open there. And Greg said, dude, you don't have to fake a stroke to watch the US Open. He was just chilling in the hallway, waiting for a room, but had a mini stroke, 5 a.m. when I was getting up for work to get ready. Ash was there, heard me fall. Didn't have any feeling, in my whole body. Pretty much chest down, felt paralyzed. About an hour later, started coming back on the right side. Good now, walking. Could move, all my limbs totally good. They're doing a bunch of testing, but it should be good, and all set. So excited to see you guys. The stroke just helped me kind of take myself out to realize there's other priorities in my life, and if those are in line, if I'm in good standing with my kids, my health, my relationships with my team and others, like these things will come and go, and we'll get through it.
We have an activity today. It has to do with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. One day I just had this thought about how do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And then I just went down a rabbit hole of okay, I could turn this into a production meeting. And the reason is because when you look at like the steps to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich, if I were to ask everyone in here, like, can you make a peanut butter jelly sandwich? You would say yes. And if I asked you how you made it, everyone would tell me how you make it. And we'd all end up with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but some of you are gonna say, well, I do 2 layers of peanut butter and then jelly, or I only do like 1 layer of peanut butter, 1 layer of jelly. Everyone's gonna do it differently, but not today. What I've created is an 11-page set of plans to build a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And so we have architectural drawings, structural drawings, and design drawings. And so we're gonna break up in teams, and your goal is to build this peanut butter and jelly sandwich per plans and specs. You know, I'm just always trying to come up with ideas for production meetings that aren't super boring, you know, because I've done that in the past where you just meet for 2 hours and you just tell everybody what they got to do better, and like, people tune out.
And so it's just a way that we can really hold each other accountable, but in a fun way. It's stressful what we do, and to be able to come in, it's warm today, to come in, get a little break in the afternoon, have the team together, have everyone smiling, laughing, cracking jokes.
What is the compressive strength of the bread?
Seriously?
Gotta know, can't overpress. Great slice. Great slice.
Okay, in true Paul fashion, we're gonna turn the camera around here. You can see this completion by the A team right here, group 1 for a reason. Look at that beauty. And that thickness is exactly per spec.
I intentionally put a few ambiguities in the drawings because the exercise is partly to learn the drawings in a short period of time and try to identify where there's discrepancies, and you can ask questions to me, the architect, you know, submit an RFI and figure out what my intent is.
I'd be willing to take my team against anybody. I feel that they're the absolute best. Part of that is because all of them have worked so hard to create systems and organization, and so now that we have an organization and protocol to how we run our projects and how we use Buildertrend and how we use Bluebeam and how we use our iPads and daily logs and how our coordinators work and what their role is and how that baton's handed, the better we've gotten at this, you know, that now you integrate these really talented people. Every single year they're getting better. Every single house they're getting better. So now you're taking people that aren't trying to leave, they're not discouraged, they have the systems in place and they're getting better and better with every home, which means AFT is being elevated each and every home. Building, it's an imperfect science. In nearly all cases, we have exceptional design and consulting teams. However, they don't have a ton of overlap.
So walk us through the update. Since I came last time, I know you guys got the cars.
Well, we got the cars in here, yeah. That was a fun day.
First couple months, there's a lot of collaboration where designer, architect, builder, landscape architect, you're coordinating the size of the home, the size of the bedrooms, the floor plan, the elevations, what it'll look like from the street. What ends up happening is at the end, we get these 2 documents of our construction drawings, and we have our full design book and we have our architectural plan, but they have not been integrated.
Phoenix Pavers has to be really happy with how this turned out.
Yeah. That's one change is we got it. All of a sudden somebody told me, did you put the sleeves in the patio? And it's like, what sleeves? It's not on the landscape drawing.
Yeah.
The most important key about being a business owner is confidence. The more confidence you have because you understand your business, you understand your costs, you understand your pricing, you know, the better you can execute and exceed expectations of your client.
Taking a drawing and then bringing it to life, there are a lot of like micro decisions between those 2 points. When construction happens, things can shift by an inch or something comes up and all of a sudden the ceiling stain that you're trying to get right, it's just not looking how you imagined, and then you have to make a decision. I really appreciate when builders and project managers ask, hey, you know, how do you want this transition to happen? This came up, we're thinking this is a good idea. But they present it as an idea and we work through a solution together rather than builders making the assumption without us.
You know, our firm has a reputation of producing really great projects, and that doesn't actually happen until it's done. So we might do all the design work, but the product has to be finished for it to become good architecture. And if all of our visions and all of our drawings think one way, but the actual execution doesn't live up to that, in the end, the whole reputation of us lies on the work that the builder is executing. And they have to share that same vision with us, otherwise it just doesn't get executed the way we had thought in our heads, and thusly to the client on what they had expected coming to a firm with our reputation.
What's really difficult to convey to a customer is that you're essentially selling them right now on a piece of paper. And what I mean by that is that if they were to go to a dealership and see vehicle A, B, C, they could see it, they can feel it, they could touch it, they could drive it, they can see the upgrades, they could see the quality, they could see how it maneuvers, right? The difficulty clients have is they're looking at, instead of 3 completed projects, they're looking at 3 pieces of paper, A, B, C. Well, this builder's $1 million, this one's $1.05 million, and this one's $1.075 million. Well, this guy's $75,000 cheaper. But why? Is he really cheaper? Is there stuff missing on the bid? And so what's hard for customers is to see, is everything there? And we know what it takes to build these complicated homes. So not only what's on paper to what goes vertical, but there's a lot of unknowns that will happen, and we're creating values for those. So the last thing I want to do is say your house is going to be $1 million, and now you're at 1.5 and you're pretty upset. We'd rather come in and say, no, we're pretty confident it's going to be 1.5, but I think it's going to be 1.3, but at least you can plan on 1.5 and we're going to be within 1 or 2%. And fortunately, our build's coming very close. We just had an audit of one of ours that came within 1%.
This is our drain.
I like that, I noticed that. At the end of the day, these are long relationships. It's much more than a transaction. This isn't coming to the dealership, car's already built, I'm buying it and move on. You're actually building the vehicle over 2 years with them. It's a long relationship cycle, and they want an expert who's going to be able to execute what their vision, this huge investment they're making, to the completion.
So the purpose of today's meeting is kind of walk through those little changes and just kind of recap everything that we have been reviewing for the last few months.
Too many times we miss the human element. At the end of the day, we're all people, and we're trying to work together to create a lot of the same goals.
Matt and I are really proud of the work that we do as a couple, and it shows up in how we present ourselves, the friends we keep, and now the house that we're building.
I feel so settled, There's this, for me, my excitement comes off as like a really calm energy. I don't get hyped. When Sarah walked in, she's like, oh my gosh, we're pregnant. I was like, it's cool, it's good. She's like, all right, let's do that again, because that's not the energy that I'm looking for. But that's what I'm having here. We're birthing this home, and I'm so excited, but it feels very calm because we're prepared. We've got the team in place that's going to make sure that, it all goes off without a hitch.
Why did you get emotional just seeing the rendering?
Because that's where Grace is going to grow up. That's where Matt and I are gonna grow old together. We come from divorced families, and Matt and I have worked really hard to get where we are today in our relationship and the way we raise our daughter, and that's a physical manifestation of the hard work. We call it the porch. Before we got married, we were doing counseling, and our clergy asked, what does your life look like at 80? And we both separately said, we want to sit in rockers, holding each other's hands, watching our kids and our grandkids and our friends play in the yard, like a la the porch. When we have disagreements or when there's difficult things, we always say to each other, is this right now gonna get us to the porch? So seeing the porch in physical, real renderings, it really feels like we did it. We're doing it. We're working every day for the porch.
Yeah, this is their wellness court. They just added. This wall was going to be up here with just a couple chairs. We pushed it out since they had so much room. And now we're going to have a planter across the window, and then this will be a therapy spa. Sit and twist into, and then we'll have the Kohler sauna. It's like the 1-man or 2-man outdoor. Then the cold plunge will be over here.
This one's unique in the sense that this is a takeover. When we were introduced to this project, it was at frame stage. So the house had been framed. They had actually set a lot of the doors and windows.
This has jets coming from every direction.
But their flashing was deteriorating. You could even peel back some of the WRB and you could see that the OSB had ballooned out because it got wet. And so a lot of the exterior was already failing and the builder hadn't got into drywall phase, right? Hadn't even closed it yet. Well, you probably haven't been downstairs yet, so there's a full movie theater, like walk-in movie theater, like stadium seating in the basement. There was a point when we were taking over that he verbally said, Brad, I drive by the street and see this house and it haunts me. I almost have such negative memories of this entire experience, I never want to step foot on the job site.
When I was facing another 3 years or so of construction, that was not very interested to me. Forget it, I'll just move on and purchase an existing home and move on with my life. Because this home from start to finish took roughly from the time I identified the land to the time that we moved in was roughly a 6.5-year process. That's a very long period of time. That's a big chunk of one's life. And that was the only reason why, as I just said, for the amount of time left, is it really worth it to me?
The building industry struggles to make sure communication is strong when you have so many parts and pieces. Imagine trying to perform a surgery and everybody in the room says they're pretty good at it, but you don't know until you get started who's good and who's not. This can be frustrating that way for an average homeowner to say, I didn't get communicated well. I didn't understand what I didn't know.
It took Brad and his team roughly a year just to sort out what was going on inside this project and correcting all of the things that were done incorrectly. So we spent essentially a year living in limbo, not knowing from one day to the next what it is that we were going to find.
He was going around interviewing a few builders, and what set us apart is, fortunately for us, we were just doing Project Blow Your Mind. It's an incredibly complex project, very similar to this in a lot of ways. He came out and specifically, and he says, show me this comparable home to mine, what it looks like through your software.
Somebody who ran a business of a decent size myself, I can see when a business is run properly.
He asked the superintendent, and our superintendent pulls out his iPad, pulled out the schedule that was already built out on Build-A-Trend, went through the whole Gantt chart with him, pulled out our punch list and how we're documenting that. He pulled out Bluebeam and how he's going through red lines and taking actual photos and documenting it for the subs.
And when he showed me the very defined processes he had to be able to manage a given job and his global business, I thought this is somebody that really understands how you properly organize, a business. Which I can tell you from the construction business as a whole, it seems to be very rare.
From marketing to having great project managers and obviously building a really high quality home where there's not very many hiccups. Making it easy is really hard, and you'd have to have a strong sense of running a business to do that.
Brad runs his business and his team runs that business as a business should be ran. I can be sometimes a little bit of a harsh critic on other people and their businesses, and I cannot give 1 ounce of criticism to Brad and how he operates his business. They did an absolutely fantastic job. Everything from communication to the client, you're always in the know of everything that's going on. There was no surprises, so I can't give them enough credit for it.
Why do we do what we do?
When you see the joy of families moving into the project and enjoying their homes and making those memories, there's something about driving by like we had an impact on building that home. The thing about construction of these things lasts. You see your work, and they're out there every day. And so there is that sense of pride to see people enjoying that. And so to have a client that was so disheartened by the whole experience and now be so excited, I mean, it really gives fulfillment to what we do every day, and through the pain of working, you know, those hot summers, working outside. When you see the client just ecstatic and knowing they're gonna spend this time with their kids and where they wanna be in town, I mean, you can't beat that.